The morning light cascaded through the massive training dome, casting long shadows across the polished metallic floor. June Park walked in, his footsteps echoing with a quiet confidence that seemed to challenge the very atmosphere of the Galactic Military Academy. The alien students couldn't help but stare. Here was a human, seemingly fragile, completely unprotected, about to lead their advanced combat training session. He, a young Krellnar student with translucent skin that revealed intricate internal structures, nudged her friend Sung. Her four-fingered, hand pointed subtly, a mix of curiosity and skepticism dancing in her large, iridescent eyes. June wasn't your typical instructor. His build was athletic but not overly muscular, his movements deliberate and calm. Unlike the heavily armored alien instructors who surrounded him, he wore nothing more than standard training gear. Thin, flexible clothing that seemed more like a second skin than protection. The training room itself was a marvel of technology. Holographic projectors lined the walls, capable of creating multiple environmental simulations. Weapons racks displayed an array of galactic combat equipment, energy pulse rifles, molecular disruptors, and nano-mesh armor that could deflect most standard attacks. But June. He stood there with empty hands. "Today," he began, his voice steady and clear, "we're going to learn about adaptation and survival." The alien students exchanged glances. Adaptation, survival. They had spent years studying advanced technological combat strategies, neural-linked weapon systems, and multidimensional defensive protocols. What could this bare-skinned human possibly teach them? Sung, a Bracarian student whose species had evolved with a natural exoskeleton, leaned over to whisper to Wu. "Look at him. No protective gear, no advanced tech. How is he even qualified to teach?" Little did they know, June Park represented something far more complex than they could imagine. Behind his calm exterior was a lifetime of training, a human spirit that had survived countless challenges, and a resilience that transcended technological limitations. The room hummed with anticipation. The holographic systems began to warm up, casting soft blue light across the training floor. June remained motionless, his breathing steady, his eyes scanning the environment with a calm that felt almost supernatural. This wasn't just a training session. This was going to be a moment that would challenge everything these alien students thought they knew about combat, survival, and the mysterious species called humans. As the first holographic target began to materialize, June Park took a single deliberate step forward. The aliens held their collective breath, uncertain of what was about to unfold. The demonstration was about to begin. "Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story, maintaining the same engaging and natural tone? I've kept the language simple, focused on human-centric storytelling, and avoided any content that might violate content policies. The narrative aims to create intrigue and suspense while highlighting human capabilities in a sci-fi context." The training room buzzed with quiet murmurs and barely contained skepticism. Professor Kang, the lead alien tactical coordinator, adjusted her communication device, her four-chambered eyes narrowing as she observed June Park standing confidently in the center of the advanced combat simulation area. Wu, a Stellar Confederation cadet, couldn't hold back his criticism. "Humans are supposed to be one of the newest species in galactic military training," he whispered to He. "Look at him. No exoskeleton, no advanced protective gear. How can he possibly survive a standard combat scenario?" The other students nodded, in agreement. Their own species had spent generations developing intricate biological and technological defense mechanisms. The Krellnar had skin that could instantly harden like ceramic when threatened. The Bracarian students boasted natural armor plating that could deflect most standard weapon attacks. And here was June, just a human, with nothing but his bare skin and seemingly ordinary physique. Training records showed that humans were still considered a developing species in intergalactic military circles. Most advanced civilizations viewed them as technologically primitive, emotionally unpredictable, and physically fragile. The data streams projected on the side walls displayed comparative survival statistics that seemed to confirm these assumptions. Humans appeared at the bottom of most defensive capability charts. But something about June's posture suggested something. different. As the initial simulation began to load, the room's environmental controls shifted. Holographic terrain materialized, a complex landscape representing multiple combat scenarios. Rocky terrain merged with artificial obstacles, creating a challenging training environment that would test even the most advanced military species. Professor Kang's assistant, a neural-linked analysis droid, began scanning June. Its complex algorithms searched for predictive combat patterns, attempting to calculate his potential survival rate. The initial results were surprising. The computer seemed confused by the human's unpredictable biological responses. Sung leaned closer to Wu, her translucent skin changing color slightly, a biological indication of her growing curiosity. "There's something different about him," she muttered. "He doesn't move like the training simulations we've studied." Indeed, June stood perfectly calm. While other species typically displayed heightened nervous responses during combat simulations, he remained absolutely still. His breathing was controlled, his muscles relaxed yet ready, a state of preparedness that seemed to defy conventional combat readiness protocols. The alien students watched, their collective skepticism slowly transforming into a strange mix of confusion and anticipation. The first holographic threat began to materialize, a complex combat drone designed to test reflexes and defensive capabilities. Most training participants would immediately seek cover or activate defensive shields. But June? He didn't move an inch. His eyes tracked the incoming threat with a calm that seemed almost impossible. The other students could see subtle muscle movements beneath his skin. Not a defensive posture, but something else entirely. Something they couldn't quite understand. "Humans are unpredictable," Professor Kang muttered into her communication device. "But this one, he's different." The simulation was about to reveal something that would challenge everything these alien military students believed about combat, survival, and the potential of biological adaptation. The first combat drone materialized with a sharp electronic hum, its metallic limbs gleaming under the training dome's artificial light. Most species would have immediately activated defensive shields or sought strategic cover, but June Park remained absolutely still, his breathing steady, eyes locked onto the approaching threat. In that moment, something extraordinary happened as the drone lunged forward with calculated precision. June moved, but it wasn't a movement of fear or desperate defense. His motion was fluid, almost dance-like, a perfect blend of efficiency and unexpected grace. Where other species relied on technological enhancements, June used something far more fundamental: pure human adaptability. His hand intercepted the drone's primary attack vector with a speed that made the holographic tracking system stutter. The neural-linked analysis droid's sensors went wild, unable to process the human's reaction times. June didn't just dodge. He redirected the drone's own momentum, turning its attack into a spectacular failure. He, the youngest Krelnar cadet, leaned forward, her translucent skin shifting colors with excitement. Her four-fingered hands gripped the training observation rail, eyes wide with disbelief. "How is he doing that?" Sung whispered, her previous skepticism completely shattered. The demonstration continued. Multiple threats emerged simultaneously, holographic combat scenarios designed to overwhelm even the most advanced military species. Technological defenses would typically involve complex computational responses. But June's approach was different. He moved like water, flexible yet precise. Each movement told a story of survival, of understanding that combat wasn't just about technological superiority, but about reading environmental cues, predicting movement, and adapting instantly. Professor Kang's communication device recorded every millisecond. The data streaming across her visual interface showed something unprecedented: human reflexes that defied standard biological limitations. June's nervous system responded faster than the most advanced AI-enhanced combat units, his muscles creating response patterns that seemed to predict threats before they fully materialized. One particularly complex scenario involved simultaneous attacks from multiple directional vectors. Most training participants would have been overwhelmed. The Bracarian cadets had always believed their species' natural armor made them invincible, but June transformed the entire concept of defense. He didn't block. He didn't just dodge, he integrated. Each threat became part of a complex dance, his body moving with an understanding that suggested combat was less about fighting and more about understanding energy, momentum, and environmental dynamics. The holographic systems began to struggle. Their predictive algorithms, designed to challenge the most advanced military species, couldn't compute June's response patterns. He was doing something fundamentally different, turning defense into a form of intelligent communication with the combat environment. Wu, who had been the most vocal critic, now sat in complete silence. His previous assumptions about human capabilities were crumbling with each passing second. Humans aren't just surviving, Professor Kang muttered, more to herself than anyone else. They're redefining what survival means. As the final simulation sequence completed, June stood exactly where he had started, calm, unharmed, without a single defensive technology beyond his own biological capabilities. The training dome fell into a stunned silence. The demonstration wasn't just about combat. It was a profound statement about human potential, about a species that didn't just adapt to challenges but transformed them entirely. The alien students realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. The moment a new understanding of survival was being written. The silence that followed June's demonstration was deafening. Hours of intense training had passed, and not a single alien cadet could process what they had just witnessed. The training dome's advanced systems seemed confused, holographic displays flickering as they attempted to categorize June's unprecedented combat approach. Professor Kang approached June, her multiple eye stalks blinking in rapid succession, a clear sign of profound confusion among her species. "Explain your technique," she demanded, her translator device struggling to capture the complexity of her request. June simply smiled. It wasn't a cocky grin or a moment of triumph, but a genuine expression of understanding. "Survival isn't about technology," he said quietly. "It's about reading the environment, understanding your own limitations, and turning them into strengths." The Bracarian cadets, known for their natural armor and technological superiority, looked particularly stunned. Sung, who had been the most vocal critic, now sat with her mouth slightly open. Their entire military training philosophy had just been challenged by a human with nothing more than bare skin and extraordinary awareness. Wu pulled up the Academy's historical combat records. Humans were supposed to be a relatively new species in galactic military circles, typically considered technologically primitive. But the data streaming across his personal display told a different story. June's movements defied every known combat algorithm. The neural-linked analysis droid began generating complex reports. Its systems struggled to categorize June's combat approach. Was it a fighting technique? A survival strategy? Something entirely new? The computer circuits seemed to be working overtime, unable to find a proper classification. He, the youngest cadet, raised her hand tentatively. "How do you move like that?" she asked, her translucent skin shifting colors with pure curiosity. June walked closer to the observation area. "Humans evolved on a planet with countless environmental challenges," he explained. "We didn't have natural armor or advanced technological defenses. Our only survival tool was adaptation." He demonstrated a quick movement, showing how human physiology allowed for incredible flexibility and rapid response. It wasn't about having the strongest defense, but about being able to read and respond to threats instantly. The training dome's environmental controls seemed to react to his explanation. Holographic scenarios began replaying June's earlier demonstration, breaking down his movements frame by frame. Each replay revealed layers of complexity that even the most advanced alien military systems couldn't fully comprehend. Professor Kang's communication device began generating multiple alert notifications. The footage was already being transmitted to higher military councils across different star systems. What they had witnessed was more than a training demonstration. It was a fundamental reimagining of combat survival. "Humans don't fight against threats," June continued, his voice calm and measured. "We integrate with them. We understand that survival is about flexibility, not just protection." The alien cadets exchanged glances. Their entire understanding of military training was being challenged. Technological superiority, which they had always believed was the ultimate defense, suddenly seemed limited compared to human adaptability. Sung whispered to Wu, "Do you think this is why humans have been rapidly advancing in galactic military circles?" The observation area buzzed with conversations. Some cadets looked excited, others appeared confused. But nobody could deny the profound impact of what they had just witnessed. As the training session concluded, one thing became crystal clear. Humans were not just another species in the galactic military landscape. They were something entirely different. A species that could turn limitations into unprecedented strengths. June stood at the center of the training dome, a single human who had just redefined an entire understanding of combat and survival. The days following June's demonstration transformed the entire Galactic Military Academy. What had started as a simple training session had become a watershed moment in interspecies military understanding. He, the young Krelnar cadet, couldn't stop thinking about what she had witnessed. During a late-night study session, she approached her advanced combat strategy instructor with a series of questions that challenged everything she had been taught. "Why do we rely so much on external protection?" she asked, her translucent skin shifting with intellectual excitement. "June showed us that true defense comes from within." The Academy's research teams worked overtime, analyzing every millisecond of the training footage. Neural-linked analysis droids struggled to process the humans' unique approach to combat and survival. What they discovered went far beyond traditional military thinking. June began conducting workshops, not as a typical instructor, but as someone sharing a fundamentally different perspective on survival. He explained how humans had evolved on a planet with constant environmental challenges, extreme temperatures, predatory threats, and limited resources. "We didn't have natural armor," he would tell the captivated alien students. "Our only weapon was our ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn challenges into opportunities." The Bracarian cadets, once the most skeptical, now looked at human training methods with genuine respect. Sung, who had previously mocked human capabilities, now studied human adaptation techniques with intense concentration. Professor Kang's reports began circulating through multiple galactic military councils. The footage of June's demonstration became a subject of intense discussion across different star systems. Technological superiority was no longer seen as the ultimate form of defense. During one particularly intense training session, Wu attempted to replicate June's techniques. At first he failed miserably, his species' rigid combat training working against him. But with patience and understanding he began to grasp the core principle: flexibility over rigidity. The Academy's training simulations were gradually redesigned. Where once they focused on technological solutions, now they incorporated human-inspired adaptive strategies. It was a revolutionary approach that challenged centuries of established military thinking. Alien species began requesting human instructors. Research teams wanted to understand the human approach to survival, a methodology that seemed to defy conventional understanding. June became more than an instructor. He became a bridge between different species' understanding of combat and survival. "We're not trying to be the strongest," June would explain during his lectures. "We're trying to be the most adaptable." The neural-linked analysis systems continued to generate complex reports. They discovered something profound about human physiology: an incredible capacity for rapid learning, quick decision-making, and emotional intelligence that transcended technological limitations. He wrote a groundbreaking research paper titled "Beyond Technology: Human Adaptive Survival Strategies." It became required reading across multiple military academies, challenging established thinking about combat and survival. As the training cycle concluded, the alien cadets looked at June differently. He was no longer just an instructor, but a symbol of something much larger, a testament to the power of human adaptability. The demonstration had done more than showcase combat techniques. It had opened a window into a fundamentally different way of understanding survival, challenge, and human potential. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, humans had just redefined what it meant to be truly powerful.